Welcome back to the Branches of Hope podcast, where we're all about helping you live a life full of wellness, growth, and hope. I'm Rachel, and as always, I'm here with the lovely Tina Smith, our licensed professional mental health specialist. Hi, Tina.
Hi, thank you for returning back to listen to our second ever episode.
If you missed our last episode, we kicked off our self-care series by breaking down the 5 types of self-care: physical, emotional, spiritual, social, and financial. We talked about what they are and how they all work together to keep you feeling balanced and whole. If you haven't listened to that one yet, definitely check it out. You can find it either on Spotify or our YouTube channel at Branches of Hope. Today, we're diving deeper into the first type of self-care: physical. Tina's here to help us understand what it really means and how we can take better care of our bodies. Let's jump right in. So my very first question is, what exactly is physical self-care and why is it so important?
All right, so physical self care, we typically go to exercising and eating healthy, right? There's also a mind body connection when it comes to physical self care. We have what's called the second brain. People don't realize it's actually the connection between the mind and the gut. Actually, I wanted to ask the viewers a question when it comes to physical self help. And this question is, what is your why? Like, why is it important? Why do you think it's important to have good physical health? So some of the things that I hear people say is that they want better energy, flexibility, mobility, or just to feel better. And when they become intentional in taking care of their physical health, then they start to realize that those things actually do begin to happen as well. And they start to feel better. And they start to have more energy to spend time with their families and just have a better quality of life.
I just want to back it up for a second and talk about that, like that brain gut thing that you just said.
Hmm.
Um, like, I've heard about that, but could you explain how that all works together?
Yeah, it is kind of complicated, but just to simplify it. So sometimes you can eat something that can make you feel bad. And then if it makes you feel bad, it will affect your mood. You can just once you start getting in tune with this and recognizing the things that you're doing and being more intentional in trying to improve your health with eating properly, then you'll
Hmm.
notice that some things can make you feel more irritable, and vice versa. If you eat some things that is the things that are better for you, then you'll improve with your energy. You'll improve with your motivation. You'll have better concentration in that area.
That is true. Okay, so like, for example, I'll give you an example of how I know that to be true. When I eat junk, I feel like junk. Like
Hmm.
when I sit there and I eat sugar, I just mentally I just get worse.
Hmm.
I do, and I notice this with my kids too. When I give my kids junk, they
Hmm.
act absolutely horrible.
Okay, so in the moment, they're happier because it's the instant gratification of the sugar. So that's why we kind of feed into it. Like we're gonna just make them happy right now. Oh, I'm gonna eat this because it makes me feel happy right now. I'm feeling sad. I just had this horrible breakup or whatever. So I'm gonna sit and binge watch and I'm gonna eat this pint of ice cream right now because it's gonna make me feel better right now. So however, later on, you pay for it later.
Have you ever heard of that? It's a meme called "Girl Dinner." You ever heard of Girl Dinner?
No, I have not heard of that.
Okay, so girl dinner is literally whatever the girl wants. Okay, so
Okay.
it's whatever you want. So if I wanted a pint of ice cream or if I wanted to throw something weird together, I'm eating it because
Hmm.
it's girl dinner.
Hmm.
But and I would do that because I want that instant gratification
Hmm.
or that or dopamine
Satisfaction.
hit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
to make myself feel good in the moment. But later on, I feel pretty horrible.
Hmm.
So.
Yeah. Yeah. So, what would be helpful is to maybe come up with a list of foods that are satisfying and make you feel happier, that are healthier. And then that
Mhm.
that make that your go-to list. Like, okay, when I'm because we want to feel happier or satisfied or So I don't want you to deprive yourself, but some things within moderation, know your limits, and just create a different habit of going to something else when you're feeling
Oh,
that way. Like for instance, when women are, and it's that time of the month, right? So when you like that, you have this up curve, and then you reach a peak, and then you go down. When you're at that peak, you probably want to pamper yourself, eat the chocolates, eat the comfort foods, and things like that, and which will make you feel better, right? And then you come down off that slope. So during that time, find out what things can help you feel better, but that's not so unhealthy during that time, and just know yourself.
I actually found a way to do that. I tricked myself.
Hmm.
So so I wanted a candy bar. Cuz it's that time of the month. But
Hmm.
I did. I needed some Midol and some chocolate and a good chick flick. Yeah, so but instead of doing the candy bar, I actually did a protein bar. It tastes like candy to me. So, but you said a word I didn't like though, which was moderation because I like to do everything in excess. So
Hmm.
unfortunately, I ate like the whole box, but
So I guess you need to hide it from yourself. Sound like you need an
yeah,
accountability partner. Say, hey, look, just give me one, and then go hide
yeah,
the rest.
that's my husband. But then I'll be mad at him because he hit him too good and I can't find him. But anyways, let's move on to the next
Okay,
question.
okay. So, well, did that answer the question? I mean, you can go into more research about the gut health and the brain connection with the gut, and people can go into more research, and there are all these scientific terms and all those things that right here. I just wanted to be more practical and useful for us to have a better understanding.
So yeah, so what I got from that was junk in, junk out,
Yeah,
right?
right. Hmm.
Okay.
Hmm.
Got you. I guess the next question would be what's the connection between regular physical activity and long term health?
Okay, so you heard of the statement, if you don't use it, you lose it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So if you're not moving your body, then it's just gonna, start working against you. You have to know what stage you're in at the moment that you begin the journey, and take steps to improving your health where you are. Do some type of regular exercise every day, and then increase it the next week, and just be consistent with that. Physical activity helps with increasing concentration. It helps being more alert, having that more energy. Physical health helps with those things. So if you're feeling like you don't feel like exercising, then you probably need to exercise even more, or just at least get up and start, because you're not even motivated to do that. And then once you start, it's like the body motion stays in motion, so it keeps on going, until something happens and it slows you down, and then you're not in a routine again. But then that's okay. Realize where you are right now, and then get back into the routine. Like slowly start adding stuff to help you increase that habit. All of this has to be a lifestyle change.
I noticed that at the beginning of the year, everybody comes up with these resolutions about, I need to lose like 15 pounds or whatever. And then they
Mhm.
pick the hardest regimen that they can find to try to stick to. I remember I tried to do, I don't know if you remember this, but it was called Insanity Workout.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And I tried to do that. I passed out and threw up.
Oh.
And I just like it's all or I'm a kind of at first it's all or nothing kind of that's the kind of person
Hmm.
I am. And
Hmm.
so and I realized that I can't be like that. I can't just jump in. I need to gradually build like you were
Hmm.
saying.
Yeah. I mean, there's a couple of different things that you probably should keep in mind. First, consider taking an assessment of the
Mhm.
obstacles that are in the way. You're doing an assessment and see what is it that you're really trying to accomplish, and then see about how you can make it a part of your lifestyle, and not just jump into the next fad, or the next
Yeah.
dieting fad, or all these different quick fixes, or these things, because they're not long lasting. I think that
Mhm.
was your question too. How could it be long lasting?
Mhm.
So you want something that you can, if you miss a day of it, if you had to miss a day of some of your regular exercise, then you feel it and you're like, okay, I missed that. Let me get back into this routine.
Yes. So every day I like to take a 30-minute or 45-minute walk. And,
Mhm.
last year I was very sedentary, at least for a good portion of the year. And then I started incorporating these walks every morning. And
Mhm.
what I noticed from it is that I started to feel really good, not just physically, but mentally.
Mentally,
And
right.
I had read somewhere that when you exercise, you release endorphins
Mhm.
that reduce stress and boost your mood.
Mhm.
So I just noticed that I'm happier when I exercise. Like you said,
Mhm.
I may not want to do it, but that's probably
Mhm.
when I need to do it the most.
Yeah. And that's the thing, you won't feel that instant gratification from it. Sometimes some people do. They get started and they start to feel good, but then you have to be consistent with it. And
Mhm.
then it's not an instant gratification anymore. It's like a gradual benefits that you'll see, but they would be more long-lasting habits that you've created, healthy habits.
What are some other things that you can do to help with physical self-care? Like, what are some other aspects a part of physical self-care?
Well, I want to go back to nutrition for a moment.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, so we tend to, society has made it difficult to make the right choices. Everywhere you look, you go down, if you leave the house and you're hungry, there's some fast food restaurant. There's something that you can go and get quickly,
Mm.
right?
Mhm. Oh, it's on TV too. They make the
Yeah.
sandwiches look so good.
Yeah,
Ooh.
right. So it's hard to stay engaged in being healthy with your diet these days. It's really difficult. And
Mhm.
so, what I want to do is educate everyone in considering the things that we put in our bodies that's for a purpose. All right, so we have to have essential vitamins and minerals in our bodies to function. We have to have so many proteins, so many healthy fats in those things and carbs and stuff. So now to make people be more conscious, even when you go into the fast food restaurant, they may say, "Oh, this burger has so many calories or is made up of this and this." But
Mhm.
I don't think a lot of people are really self conscious about that when they choose to go to McDonald's and get a Big Mac with fries. Nobody's really concerned about the calories. You know.
No, I'm hungry and I wanna eat now.
Right. Right. Yeah. So those once again that word again moderation.
Mm.
Is very important, but understanding what you're putting in your body. So
Mhm.
essential meaning something that our body needs to function well. Certain vitamins help our digestive system function well. Certain vitamins and minerals help our brain system function well. And it's mainly things that, God created for us to eat. The fruits and vegetables, um, grown from the ground, have the things that are essential to our bodies, along with drinking water and being hydrated. But it's difficult to go out into the world and say, okay, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to add these things. But I want you to be mindful to start learning how to do that. And I think at some point we can probably add in some tips later on to help people gradually incorporate this into their diets.
Okay. Okay, so what I gathered while listening was that we need to focus on essential vitamins and minerals. So we should probably stick to eating like lots of leafy greens and healthy fats and high quality protein and stuff like that.
Yeah, that too. And also there's certain herbs and stuff that we could put to our foods. People cook with garlic, turmeric, because it helps with it has anti-inflammatory properties to help your body feel better. Ginger, basil, rosemary, oregano, sage. There are different herbs that we can put together, and you can cook with those things. Put it on, season your foods with season, like if you're a meat eater, you can season lean cuts of meat to eat. Just
Mhm.
a small portion. Just watch your portion control. Add spinach, just different things that you can cook with. Prepare a meal and make sure you have it colorful.
Yes, I heard someone say that you should eat the rainbow.
Yes, eat the rainbow. Hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what I'm gathering too is that I'm going back to that gut brain connection. It
Hmm.
feels like a lot of your mental health or your brain health is located in your gut. That's what it's sounding like to me from what you're telling me. So like, and we need specific minerals
Okay, so
for,
so think about, okay, you said earlier garbage in, garbage out, right? So
yeah.
what goes in your mouth has to go through your system. So once it goes into your system, it stops at the small intestines, where the small intestines absorb all of the minerals and the vitamins that your body needs, and it supplies it to your body through your bloodstream. It supplies it to you to the different parts through different ways it gets connected, and then your body kind of gets what it needs. Your brain gets what it needs. Your heart gets what it needs. Everything gets what it needs from that area if it's healthy. Now, if it's not healthy, then it finishes through the digestive system and either is stored somewhere where it doesn't need to be stored, or it is becomes eliminated, depending on how well you're eating your fibers and your things that help you to eliminate. So that's the
Okay, so I can be crazy because I'm not digesting my food right. So, I'm just trying to make sure. So I can literally like be mentally off. One, if I'm not eating if I'm eating junk, I'm mentally off. And then if my digestion sucks, I'm crazy.
yeah, because you're not getting what your body's not getting what it needs. So you can be
Oh.
deficient in certain vitamins, or you can actually have a surplus of something that wouldn't be good to have. That's another thing. We tend to supplement. We supplement with vitamins instead of getting it from our foods. It's
Mhm.
best to get it from your foods, but if you're not getting it from your food, then you might be deficient in a particular vitamin, and so you supplement. But it's best to get it from your foods, but you have
Mhm.
to be mindful of what foods to eat. And if you're out in the world and they just serving you all this junk, then that's what you get.
What if I'm not getting enough of a specific hormone, like for example, serotonin?
Well, okay, so you could do things like go out and take a walk in the sunlight. That can
Mhm.
increase your serotonin levels. There's certain things that you really can't get from a food, but you can get from either certain activities or outside sources that you can get some things from. Or some people may need to supplement with certain medications so they can feel happier. But then you would have to visit your doctor to see where you are. I think some people should just get like a blood panel check to see what vitamins that they're deficient in as well. You can even
Wow,
do something like that. You
that
know,
sounds great.
yeah.
That sounds great.
Well, okay, so you talk about serotonin too, and there's a hormone, and then there's another hormone too, melatonin. Our bodies naturally produce melatonin, but we've been supplementing that at nighttime. A lot of people supplement that at nighttime to help them sleep, but your body can naturally create it if you put yourself in a position to do that.
And that leads me into our next question
Mhm.
about sleep. How
Okay.
does sleep play a part in physical self care?
Okay, so with sleep, it could be so obvious. Sleep is one of those, it should be an obvious thing, but some people think that they could just run on 4 hours of sleep, and it'll affect you mentally, and physically as well. So I like to bring up this example sometimes. So, especially for those that think they could just sleep, they could just run on a few hours of sleep. So just think you're on a highway and s- other people are driving around you. How would you feel if the people driving around you only got 4 hours of sleep?
Oh, I'd be so scared. I think the person that was driving in front of me today when I was dropping my kids off at school only got 4 hours of sleep. They was swerving everywhere.
Yeah. So, it increases your awareness if you get proper sleep. And then if you're getting proper sleep, you'll feel more energized to participate more in that physical activity. You may make better choices with your eating habits because you're more alert and more aware. So
Hmm.
sleep is important, you
It
know.
is.
Hmm. And so people struggle with sleeping these days, and getting this on track is very important to your physical health because we have certain hormones in our bodies that are increased while we're sleeping. They're there to help us heal while you're sleeping. You know, so as soon as I
Hmm.
feel bad, when I start to feel bad, oh my gosh, it's like, all right, let me finish up whatever it is I need to finish up, take whatever kind of medication I need to take to help, and then I'm going to bed because I need my body to do the rest. So I will listen to my body and just do that, and I'll tell everybody, okay, good night. I'll see y'all later. I got to go to bed. I'm not feeling well. And when I do that, the next morning, I feel so rested and I feel so much better that I allowed myself to do that.
I have an issue with sleep. I do. I know I need to. And I
Hmm.
have to get up early in the morning to get everybody together. But I don't know. Sometimes I don't always know how to not sit in front of the television to wind down before bed. And
Hmm.
I just noticed though that sitting in front of the TV or being on that phone
Hmm.
always stops me from going to bed at the time that I should. And
Hmm.
so, and then I wake up extremely exhausted the next morning because I stayed up too
So
late.
think about the time that you did go to bed and you got good rest. How did you wake up?
Rested.
Yeah, you felt good. Okay, so you have to make a choice.
But
It's
Netflix. I mean,
I know.
I
I like
know.
to get up early, get my day started, and the early bird gets the worm, as they say.
I used to think I can get the worm on 4 hours of sleep, but I
Hmm.
can't. So I guess my other question is why is sleep such a critical part? Well, you just explained why it was a critical part of physical self care, but how does our circadian rhythm affect our ability to get quality rest? Because I know that it's broken up with the blue light. I know it is.
Oh, it's broken up with any light. So light increases your serotonin levels. You talked about that earlier, serotonin.
Mm-hmm.
So light increases the serotonin levels, which helps to keep you awake and alert.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So take advantage of that during the day. And then we get kind of messed up with the time change and it gets darker earlier. That kind of always throws me off. So if you're not ready to go to bed, then increasing your serotonin levels with artificial light is fine too. A lot of people do light therapy to help
Mm-hmm.
with their mood, to help, especially if they're dealing with depression. They use light therapy to help them to help increase those serotonin levels, and then have a set time to go to bed and then start incorporating that sleep hygiene, which is your routine that you need to help you sleep. Now, if you're struggling with that right now, then you probably need to implement small changes each week, but have something to improve your sleep each week. So add something. So stuff like some things you really should just automatically remove and not do. Some things you can do right now is avoid caffeine at least four
Mm-hmm.
hours before you go to bed. Remove distractions. One thing that it's probably hard to do, but recognize that it might affect you, is avoiding an argument before you go to bed.
Okay.
Uh-huh. Because that increases your stress levels,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then your cortisol levels increase, and that increases your stress if you're trying to sleep. So you can, if you have something that's unresolved, table it till the next day, or you can do the deep breathing exercises to help you relax. So do something to help to relax the body, and maybe have a if you're one of those people that have the hamster wheel thoughts constantly throughout the night, then
That's
you
me.
should have, yeah. So you should have a notebook or something next to
Mm-hmm.
you. If you're one of those people that can put a note in your phone and then put it back down, that's fine. But
Mm-mm.
if you can't do that, then don't have the phone near you. So just
I'm not one of those
jot something
people.
down. Yeah. So you jot something down so you can remind yourself, okay, I jotted it down. I can always come back in the morning and look at that. So now I can put it to
Mm-hmm.
bed. And so you don't have to think about that and keep it on your mind, you know? And then the deep breathing exercises. I love doing the 5 count in, five count in, 5 count out, really slow rhythmic count with the breathing in the nose and then out of your mouth in a rhythmic manner. It will relax you and help keep other intrusive thoughts out of your mind while you're trying to rest. So these are just
Hmm.
some things you can go back and listen to this again and if you're struggling and just pick up some of these things throughout the week or within the next few weeks if you're struggling with sleep. And then if once you've implemented some of these things and you're still struggling, then you may need to visit your doctor. But one thing I wanted to add too is that a lot of people are supplementing with melatonin. When our bodies naturally produce it, if we can get the rhythm right, it'll produce the melatonin that we need. Because
Hmm.
melatonin is useful in helping you to fall asleep, but it doesn't help to keep you asleep. So if you can find a way to fall asleep naturally, then you can reduce the use of melatonin, you know. Go ahead.
What helps to keep you asleep? Because sometimes I know that I'll have some interrupted sleep. Like I won't never get into that deep sleep. I think I quit doing that after I had kids. Like I would always just be on high alert. I don't
Hmm.
know. Like my if my child coughed in the middle of the night, I'm like, oh, I hear it. I'm up. So
Hmm.
I always like I guess after you have kids, you never really sleep. But I haven't gotten a good night's sleep in like 13 years. But
Well, I guess we need to work on you.
yeah,
You can
but
start implementing some of these things that we're talking about.
what can you do for interrupted sleep? Because I noticed I wake up and I'm still like really tired if I've gotten up in the middle of the night to go like use the bathroom or something, and it's broken up sleep.
So if it's broken up because your body is waking you up to go to use the bathroom, that's different than a child waking you up or you're getting startled from something else or you had a bad dream or something like that. So you can think about doing inventory, do an assessment. You don't know where you are. You don't know where you're going unless you know where you are. So
Hmm.
you can have all these different like, oh, I can't I have this problems because of XYZ. Well, it sounds like XYZ might be obstacles. So write it down. I would suggest the first week is to go to sleep each night and take a look at your day and see if any of the things that I've kind of mentioned were a part of it. Did you just have an argument with somebody that night before? Did you eat something that was too spicy and it messed with your digestive system while you were asleep? Did you have too much caffeine the night before? Look at the light. Was there too much light in the room? You know, did you remove the distractions? So it's a matter of looking at that, taking an
Hmm.
assessment and to see where you are in order to start implementing changes. And then you can say, okay, now I've done all of these things and nothing's happened. But first of all, too, you need to be consistent with it first. So take about a good month or so and implement the changes and then see if things improve for you.
Okay.
Hmm.
Okay. So you mentioned that, after doing all these things and you're still struggling, that you may need to go see a doctor, or maybe you just maybe some people may also just need to do their regular medical checkups. Why do you think people often delay or avoid scheduling doctor's appointments or checkups? And how can they make it a priority?
That's a good question. So, different reasons. Some people just don't like to go to the doctor. Some people don't have time to go to the doctor. Some people may not have the insurance to be able to have that kind of a checkup that they need, the financial aspect of that. And then some people just kind of ignore things too. They just don't think that they have a problem with it or don't think that a doctor can help them with it. Or sometimes they might think, oh, the doctor's just going to throw some medicine at it and I don't want to take any more medicine. So getting a checkup just to see where you are doesn't necessarily mean you have to follow what they're saying. For instance, some years ago, my blood pressure was going up. And I was like, well, what the deal is with this? And so I went to the doctor, and my doctor said, okay, I'm going to start you on this blood pressure medication without doing any tests, without running to see if I have a history or a consistent pattern of this. And so she wanted to give me medication. And so I brought it home, and I think I took two of them. And I just had the thought in my head. I said, okay, you know what? I believe my blood pressure is a result of poor eating, increased stress, lack of sleep, and let me implement that first. And so I've never had a problem since then. And this was probably about 10 years ago. Now, not to say that later on in life, with age, things change. But as of right now, I haven't had that problem. And it was
Mm-hmm.
because of a lifestyle change. So, I think just taking an inventory and an assessment to see where you are and if there are some things that you need to change. Now, granted, if have serious medical conditions like diabetes and those things, and high blood pressure or just different things that you've been dealing with, seek your doctor for sure. But also, lifestyle change can help with other things that your body may need because the doctor says you need to do this, this, and this, you know. And
Mm-hmm.
don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to go to the doctor because you're getting an opinion
Mm-hmm.
about your situation. And if you don't like that opinion, then see if you can go to another doctor, to get an opinion about your situation. But also, there are just things that you can do as being a responsible person for your body, and that's to eat healthier, exercise regularly, and get good sleep.
Okay.
Hmm.
Okay. I like that you took a more holistic approach
Hmm.
to your blood pressure. I actually did the same thing. So when I was pregnant with one of them kids, I forgot. I was pregnant. I've been pregnant a lot of times, but but I remember developing high blood pressure. Especially it was postpartum. It was after I had one of them, and I just could not seem to get it down. And the doctor prescribed me blood pressure medication, but and I took it, and then my blood pressure went way too low, and then I
Hmm.
passed out. And I was like, I never want to take this again. I don't want to take this anymore. So I actually found some other ways to manage my blood pressure
Hmm.
naturally,
Hmm.
and it started to go down, and it was really just it was my diet, and it was also me not moving enough. And so I started to change it like that. I also did the same thing with being pre-diabetic. I found I was pre-diabetic last year,
Hmm.
and I did go to get weight loss surgery, but I could not eat the junk that I
Hmm.
wanted. I still can't eat the junk that I want to eat. And I know I told you earlier, I'm going to be accountable. I told
Hmm.
you earlier that I ate a whole box of. I did, but that was over a span of time. It was over a
And that was
span of time,
emotional eating.
which I need to not do because that could lead me back to the same problem that I had before surgery.
Hmm.
So I was pre-diabetic, but after the surgery, I realized I wasn't pre-diabetic anymore. But
Hmm.
one of the things was is that I cut out a lot of those processed foods. I can't eat those anymore,
Hmm.
and I can't have a lot of sugars anymore. And I end up being able to get off of my diabetes medication, which was
Hmm.
metformin.
Hmm.
So, and a lot has changed for me. So, I'm glad though that I did go to the doctor because I became aware
Hmm.
that I was pre-diabetic. I became aware that I had high blood pressure, and I realized that the consequences of me not going would have been that I would have never known that that was a problem and would have gradually got worse, and I probably would have died.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I know of people that have just, you know, died because they weren't aware of what was going on with their bodies. And just recently, someone I know, their neighbor, 55 years old, just fell with a heart attack.
Oh.
And then I just know other people that just had, unbeknown, having heart problems, and a lot of it might be stress induced, but even just having medication to calm down, like, anxiety can have physical, you can have physical problems with it because of mental health. Our bodies will register something before our minds can pick it up sometimes, a lot of times. I would notice that I feel nervous about something before my mind just registers what's going on. And so if I can pick up on that, then I know I need to do a deep breathe exercise. Or I need to remove myself from this stressful situation. Or I need to do something to address what I'm feeling, even though my mind is not totally processing it.
I got you.
Yeah, yeah. But that we go back to that keyword awareness. You
Yeah.
know, you need to know where you are right now, know your situation. If you're in a stressful, toxic situation, then you might need to do something about it. And
Oh,
if you cannot take care of yourself, then you may need to think about, assess where you are, and if you can't make any healthy changes, then you might have to make drastic ones.
I'm starting to feel you touch a little bit more on this emotional self care. You need to hold on.
Okay,
That's
okay.
for next week. But I feel you getting up. I feel you getting there, and I'm like, ooh, this is good. This is good. This is real good.
I really care. My heart just goes out to people who I see struggling with situations that they could just implement some changes, and I see their struggle, and I feel deeply for them. And so this is why this is so important to get this information out to everybody. If they could, grab a hold of what we're talking about and then start making some changes in their life, and just start improving in their lives. Um, that's what makes this so worth it. Just to have this conversation and have other people listen in on our conversation and start making changes in their life.
Well, you always give so much insight and so many practical tips. So thank you for making physical self-care feel less like a chore and more like something that we can actually do.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you're very welcome. It's very dear to my heart, really. In so many ways, it's very dear to my heart.
Well, I think that wraps up for today.
Yeah.
Before we go, I want to remind everyone that the Branches of Hope podcast is just one way we're here to support you. You can find us on branchesofhope.com, where you can find our blog, free resources, and details about our free 15-minute initial consultations for clients in the state of Texas with Miss Tina. We're also on Instagram, Facebook, and just follow us for more inspiration, mental health tips, and encouragement. Thank you so much for listening. And don't forget to hit subscribe so you don't miss next week's episode, where we'll dive into emotional self-care, because let's be honest, feelings are tricky, but avoiding them never works. So take care of yourself, and we see you next time.